Today, a photograph surfaced that nobody in Washington was supposed to see. Elon Musk sitting at a Trump cabinet meeting with a handwritten note reading "Top Secret," conspicuously placed in front of him, and if you think that's just coincidence, you haven't been paying attention to how power actually works in America. What's more unsettling is what happened behind the scenes, a story that involves leaked Pentagon briefings, suspended DoD officials, and Trump himself reportedly saying, "What the fuck is Elon doing there?" when he found out about Musk's planned access to classified China war plans. Let's pretend this isn't real for just a moment. In a 1997 Simpsons episode that nobody talks about anymore, Homer accidentally gets invited to a secret government meeting because someone mixed up his employee ID with a defense contractor. The episode shows him sitting in a room full of military officials, completely oblivious to the classified documents in front of him, while Marge worries at home about his new important job. The episode ends with Homer being quietly escorted out after he starts taking notes on a napkin that says "Top Secret Donuts." Funny how art imitates life, isn't it? The leaked photograph tells a story that extends far beyond a simple cabinet meeting. According to multiple reports, Musk was originally scheduled to receive a top-secret Pentagon briefing about U.S. military plans for potential war with China, involving some of the military's most closely guarded secrets. The briefing would have included 20 to 30 slides laying out how the United States would fight such a conflict, covering everything from threat indicators to Chinese target selection. But here's where things get uncomfortable. The meeting was canceled after details leaked to the media, and Trump reportedly exploded when he found out, demanding, "Make sure he doesn't go." This matters because we're witnessing something unprecedented in American politics. A private businessman who owns companies deeply integrated with Chinese manufacturing and has documented relationships with Chinese officials was about to be briefed on the nation's most sensitive military secrets. As one official told reporters, Elon has extensive business operations in China and maintains good relations there, and this particular briefing just wasn't appropriate. The conflict of interest isn't subtle. It's staring us in the face like a neon sign in Times Square.
But that's not the disturbing part. Let's analyze what's really happening here. Musk's role as head of the Department of Government Efficiency has given him special government employee status and earned him the unofficial title of First Buddy. He's not elected, not confirmed by Senate, not accountable to voters, yet he has access to levels of government that most senators will never see. The traditional checks and balances that prevent private interests from infiltrating national security apparatus have been bypassed entirely. The Pentagon meeting was supposed to take place in the Tank, a secure meeting place normally reserved for the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Think about that for a moment. The same room where America's top military commanders plan responses to global threats was about to host a private businessman whose primary loyalty is to his shareholders, not the American people. And here's where things start to get uncomfortable. Two DoD officials, Dan Caldwell and Darren Selnick, have already been suspended as part of an investigation into who leaked information about the meeting, showing how seriously the Pentagon is taking these security breaches. The political calculation here is brutally simple. Trump needs Musk's technology and financial resources to implement his agenda, particularly through the Department of Government Efficiency. Musk needs government contracts and regulatory protection for Tesla, SpaceX, and his other ventures. It's a symbiotic relationship that benefits both parties while potentially compromising national security. What happens next is the reason this photograph shouldn't exist. There's another Simpsons moment that keeps haunting me. In a 2003 episode, Mr. Burns tries to buy his way into the Pentagon by promising to make their weapons more efficient. The episode shows him in a meeting room taking notes while military officials discuss classified projects, completely unaware that Burns is planning to sell the information to the highest bidder. The episode ends with Burns being arrested, but not before he's already photographed several secret documents. The writers couldn't have known how prophetic they were being. The economic implications of this scandal stretch far beyond Washington politics. Tesla relies heavily on China for car production, and SpaceX could potentially gain access to sensitive military secrets unavailable to business competitors. We're looking at a situation where classified U.S. military intelligence could potentially influence business decisions that affect global markets worth hundreds of billions of dollars. Consider the mathematical reality. Tesla's Shanghai Gigafactory produces roughly 750,000 vehicles annually, generating approximately $18 billion in revenue directly tied to Chinese operations. SpaceX holds over $3 billion in Pentagon contracts. Starlink operates under national security agreements that give it access to global intelligence networks. Now imagine the same person sitting in a room where they're briefed on exactly how the U.S. would respond to Chinese military aggression. The potential for insider trading, strategic business positioning, and technology transfer is staggering. But here's where the dark humor kicks in. Musk apparently decided to mock the entire situation by writing "top secret" on his notepad and placing it conspicuously in front of cameras during the cabinet meeting. It's either the most brazen display of arrogance in Washington history, or he's trolling everyone while sitting on information that could shift global power balances. Either way, it's not exactly reassuring.
I wish I was making this up. The national security risks here go beyond traditional espionage. We're dealing with someone who controls critical infrastructure that the U.S. military depends on. Starlink provides internet connectivity for Ukrainian forces fighting Russia. SpaceX launches classified military satellites. Tesla's software systems collect real-time data on traffic patterns, charging station usage, and vehicle locations across the globe. Musk's access to government information through Doge has already sparked multiple controversies, and this Pentagon incident represents an escalation. What happens when the person controlling these systems has detailed knowledge of U.S. military plans against China? The Chinese government isn't stupid. They understand leverage when they see it. Tesla's operations in Shanghai could become a pressure point in any conflict. SpaceX launches could be scrutinized for potential intelligence gathering. Starlink's global network could become a tool for espionage or a target for cyber attacks. We're essentially giving a private citizen who controls critical technological infrastructure access to the exact information that foreign adversaries would kill to obtain. It's like giving the keys to the castle to someone who's already got business deals with the people outside the walls. The Simpsons anticipated this too, in a way that still gives me chills. In a 2011 episode, Professor Frink creates a communication network that's supposed to help Springfield, but it turns out he's been sharing data with overseas research partners without realizing the implications. The episode shows government officials arriving at his lab only to discover that classified information has been inadvertently transmitted to foreign agents through his supposedly civilian technology network. The episode was played for laughs, but the premise is disturbingly similar to our current reality. Let me paint 3 scenarios that keep intelligence professionals awake at night. Scenario 1. The Tesla leverage play. China quietly pressures Musk by threatening Tesla's Shanghai operations during a crisis in the Taiwan Strait. They don't need to make it obvious. A few regulatory delays here, some supply chain disruptions there, maybe some quality control issues that require temporary shutdowns. Meanwhile, Musk has detailed knowledge of exactly how the U.S. would respond to Chinese aggression in the region. The information doesn't need to be directly shared. Business decisions based on that knowledge could signal U.S. intentions to Chinese intelligence. Scenario 2. The Starlink dilemma. During a military conflict involving China, Starlink becomes a critical communication backbone for U.S. and allied forces. But Musk, knowing the details of military plans he was briefed on, faces an impossible choice between supporting U.S. operations and protecting his Chinese business interests. He doesn't need to actively sabotage anything. Simply delaying satellite deployments or reducing bandwidth in critical areas could compromise military operations. Scenario 3. The information cascade. Other leaks regarding Panama Canal military plans, Red Sea operations, and intelligence collection in Ukraine are already being investigated alongside the Musk Pentagon incident. What if this isn't just about one person's access to classified information? What if we're looking at a systematic breakdown of information security across multiple government departments?
In a 2015 Simpsons episode that barely anyone remembers, Springfield's power grid gets compromised because the city gave a tech billionaire too much access to critical systems. The episode shows the character, clearly modeled on a Silicon Valley mogul, sitting in meetings where he learns about the city's emergency plans, all while his companies have contracts with foreign partners. The episode ends with Springfield in darkness during a crisis, and nobody can figure out if it was intentional sabotage or just catastrophic oversight. The writers called it the Trojan horse algorithm. Sometimes I think they were trying to warn us. Here's what really bothers me about this entire situation. It's not an isolated incident. There's already been a Signalgate scandal where Trump cabinet members were discussing U.S. military plans to bomb the Houthis in Yemen in a Signal group chat that included the Atlantic's editor-in-chief. We're seeing a pattern of casual information security violations at the highest levels of government. The traditional intelligence community spent decades building protocols to protect classified information. They created compartmentalized access, background investigations, polygraph examinations, continuous monitoring, and severe criminal penalties for violations. All of that institutional knowledge and security architecture is being bypassed because powerful people find it inconvenient. And this is where I wish I was making it up. The top-secret notepad incident suggests that Musk is either completely oblivious to the seriousness of the situation or actively mocking the entire national security apparatus. Neither option is particularly comforting when you consider the level of access he's been granted. As someone who's watched Washington power dynamics for long enough to develop chronic cynicism, I'll tell you exactly what I think is happening. This isn't incompetence. It's a calculated risk that both Trump and Musk believe they can manage. Trump thinks he can control Musk's access and loyalty through personal relationship and political leverage. Musk thinks he can navigate the conflict of interest by maintaining plausible deniability and keeping his business interests separate from his government role. They're both wrong. The Chinese government has been studying American business culture for decades. They understand how to apply pressure through economic incentives and regulatory threats. They don't need Musk to become a deliberate spy. They just need him to make business decisions that happen to align with Chinese strategic interests. An even unconscious bias in his business decisions could compromise American national security. But here's what really keeps me awake at night, the precedent this sets. If we allow private citizens with massive conflict of interest issues to access our most sensitive military secrets, what's next? Will Amazon's CEO get briefed on cyber warfare plans? Will pharmaceutical executives sit in on biodefense strategy sessions? We're creating a system where wealth and political access can bypass traditional security protocols. The scariest part is that this might actually work, right up until the moment it catastrophically doesn't. And when that moment comes, we'll look back at the photograph of Musk sitting with his top-secret notepad and realize that all the warning signs were right there in front of us. So let me ask you the questions that are really haunting me about this entire situation. Do you think Trump made the right call by blocking Musk from the China briefing? Or was it too little too late, given everything Musk has already seen? If you had to choose between Musk's technological capabilities and traditional national security protocols, which would you pick to protect America's interests? What do you think the Chinese government is really thinking when they watch Elon Musk write top secret on a notepad during a televised cabinet meeting? Are they laughing? Or are they taking notes? Is this the new reality of how power works in America, where billionaires get access to state secrets as long as they're politically useful? Or are we watching a dangerous experiment that's about to fail? And here's the question that really matters. When the next major leak happens and it involves information that Musk or his associates had access to, will anyone be surprised? But here's what nobody's talking about, and it's the detail that makes this whole story even more unsettling. The investigation into Pentagon leaks isn't just about Musk's briefing. It also involves other classified information about Panama Canal military plans, Red Sea operations, and intelligence collection in Ukraine. We're not looking at a single security breach. We're looking at what appears to be systematic compromise of multiple classified programs. 2 Pentagon officials have been suspended, and investigators are trying to figure out how information about all these different classified programs ended up in unauthorized hands. The Musk incident might just be the visible tip of a much larger iceberg. And if you think that's coincidence, let me remind you of one more Simpsons moment that's been eating away at me. In a 2019 episode, Lisa discovers that Springfield city records have been systematically leaked to business partners over several years. The episode shows her trying to trace the source, only to discover that the leaks aren't coming from one person. They're coming from a network of people who each think they're just sharing small, harmless pieces of information. The episode ends with Lisa realizing that the real threat isn't the obvious spy, it's the invisible system that makes secrets impossible to keep. The episode was called The Transparency Paradox, and I can't shake the feeling that we're living inside it right now. The photograph is real, the access is documented, and the national security implications are staring us in the face. The only question left is whether we're going to do something about it or wait to see how much damage can be done by treating state secrets like Twitter posts. Something tells me we won't have to wait very long to find out.